I'm Jessie Sale, a business journalist for SBC, and today I'm joined by Smallwood from ESA Gaming. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you finding the event?
Yeah, so far good. Really busy. Very positive, yeah.
Firstly, are cross-sell opportunities between casinos and sports unrecognised in the gaming industry?
I'm not sure if they're under-recognised because a lot of operators obviously are doing that and trying cross-selling. Maybe there are different ways that it can be done and they're not exploited fully. So rather than maybe kind of bonusing, for example, we've developed games which allow operators to cross-sell at a much lower kind of cost. And maybe perhaps not under-recognised, but I think there are definitely different ways of doing it.
With a packed sports schedule this year, is now the time for companies to start taking advantage of these opportunities?
Yeah, 100%. I think, with us having a kind of World Cup also coming up at the end of the year, there's a big opportunity for cross-selling, big opportunity obviously for acquisition. And I think, for example, we've developed a suite of games that sit directly in the sportsbook and give operators the chance to kind of cross-sell from their sports product to the casino at a much lower cost.
Can you tell us about your Easy Swipe portfolio? How can this help drive further engagement with bettors?
So it drives further engagement principally because they sit in the sportsbook and there's a widget which allows a player to kind of swipe in and out of the game. So they can be betting on sports, then they can open up the games, they can start betting on the games and start playing the games, and the session stays open so they can kind of return to the sportsbook. Effectively what this does is it means that it doesn't impact the sports betting experience. So the suite of games are ultra lightweight, they don't kind of interfere with what the player is doing on the sport, they're just like an addition. And we have a number of kind of sports-based titles which obviously help with engagement of that particular audience. Also the games are thought out in terms of the kind of bets they are, the volatility and so on to suit the sports betting audience.
And how are you planning to capitalise on the World Cup this year to grow your product?
Well, our best sort of selling game is a game called Goal Mine, which is a football game where you progress up the football field and then in the kind of bonus round you actually get to choose your spot and shoot at goal. And that's an obvious kind of tie-in with the World Cup, but indeed with any kind of football. We've had a lot of interest from operators about getting that game and others in their sportsbook before the World Cup because they see this as a way to help them bring in a new audience, help them engage with perhaps a more casual kind of football audience as well. And it also acts as quite a good kind of retention tool for players once they're in there. So in moments that are a little bit dead in the sport, maybe they go in and have a bet and play around on these kind of games.
And why is it so important to exhibit at events such as Betting on Sports Europe?
Well, for us, I mean, obviously we go to most of the major events and a lot of them cover the whole of the kind of gaming industry and the casino side of things as well. And it's really important for us to be somewhere like this because we're able to speak to people on the sports side. And because, as I said before, our games sit in the sportsbook, it's important that people understand within the sports betting side of the business that the games are able to add something to the sport and they're not taking away, so there's no cannibalization or anything. So being here with this kind of audience of sports betting people able to show the product, to explain how it works is really important to us in terms of getting us out there and getting more uptake on our product.
And finally, what sets Betting on Sports Europe apart for you?
Well, I think it's one of the premier events, essentially, and I think, as I said before, it gives us the opportunity to come somewhere where we know most of the big kind of operators are going to be, not just the big ones to be fair, but we know that everyone who is serious about the business is here. There's maybe less of a kind of casual audience, and from our perspective, there's a real value in being able to have meaningful conversations during a show like this, all day long.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.